Thank you, Chairman Martin and Secretary Schmidt. Good to see you again. It's nice to see that we both survived November. And
we did, although I feel like I age 10 years every election. So.
Well, I have to congratulate you. This was much better. I mean, we had our fair share of some chaos and stuff, but this was much better than it was 4 years ago, and I do appreciate the work that you've done.
Thank you, sir.
There's some things. That being said, I know you and I both agree there's some things that can be done to improve things. And during your budget request last year, you asked to hire 2 voter roll analysts as a part of your increased general government operations. Did you get the full amount, or you did not get the full amount for that? We did give you a supplemental, though, that $7.1 million from the spring ask. Were you able to hire those analysts? Yes.
I know that Deputy Secretary Marks has completed the job specs for those positions. We haven't yet hired them. I think they're going to play a really important role in the department and give us a capability we really haven't had in the past in order to analyze voter rolls better and investigate any irregularities that we might identify or are brought to our attention. Deputy Secretary, is there anything you'd like to add?
I'm trying to get the button to work, excuse me. No, I don't really have a whole lot to add. We have put the job specifications together, and we expect we'll be hiring those 2 within the next few months.
Okay, and there's no specific thing lined in the governor's budget. Are you basically out of what you were given from last year and in the budget?
Yes.
This is something that...
Correct.
Okay. Last year, I did not hit you guys up over something that was hitting everybody else up, because in the outgoing years or the pursuing 5 years, there's a requirement that each department give us the projected expenditures. But this year, you're showing level funding for the ongoing fiscal years, and I'm curious as to why that is. Are you projecting you don't need anything more going out to, what is it, the 29-30? Are you not projecting any increases?
I think our request reflects the needs of our department at present, and I think it shows that our current request is less than or approximately 0.1% increase. May I ask our budget director to speak to that as well?
Just to clarify, are you referencing from the department's budget request the financial statements that are in for our restricted appropriations? Or are you speaking generally?
I'm looking at the GGO, State Uniform Registry, all these lines that we have in here. The Constitution requires going out for 5 years what the projections are. And last year, you guys actually put some increases in, but this year you did not. And I'm curious, was that something that you guys did, or is that something that the governor's office did?
We did not include any increases, especially to the statewide uniform registry of electors with modernization efforts. We are not within, we have not executed a contract at this point, so funding we're keeping level spending until we know a little bit more about that, and then we can adjust going forward. On the general government operations line, the same thing. We have, that is our support entity, but we do have some program areas within that are state funded, such as our elections team, campaign finance, Office of Notary Certification Legislation, and our enforcement investigations group for charities only. So with those groups that are state funded, we are making sure that they're spending within their current budgets, and we anticipate that going forward. We don't necessarily see any need to increase or decrease their budgets as long as positions are funded fully with collective bargaining units, things like that. We should be okay. However, there are always changes. There are always things that could be added that are just unknown at this point. So.
Okay, we did, I mean, your spring ask, that 7.1 million that we added was significantly higher than the 13 and getting you up to 20. I'm hoping that that will actually carry you guys through for the next 5 years. Yeah, like I said, last session, you guys had it projected out, but I can see this, you've actually got something of a reasonableness to yours, which unfortunately is lacking in other departments. The $20 million appropriation for the shore system, first of all, did you get the how much money did you get on the clawback from No Inc.?
I believe it was more than $1 million we clawed back from the previous vendor. It was every cent that was spent since the start of this administration returned to the department and taxpayers. We have completed contract negotiations with the new vendor, and it is currently being circulated for signature for all the parties that need to sign off on it. But the negotiations have been completed for the shore replacement system.
I don't know how much you can release, but how does the cost for the new contract compare to the one that was before?
I really can't speak to that yet until the contract is completed with everyone having signed it, and can speak to the vendor and speak to what will be provided and the cost and all the rest.
And the vendor, are you satisfied that this time you're going to have somebody that can and will complete the job?
Yes, the previous contract was initiated, as you know, well before
Yes.
My tenure here. Made the decision soon after coming into the Department of State in early 2023 that it was important to pivot to upgrades to the shore system. So we replaced the hardware that every county used. We improved the connectivity that every county used to make sure that the voter registration system was prepared and ready for this important 2024 election with a high volume of voters, historic, in fact. In decades, we have not had turnout that high. So I think the shore system on the whole performed pretty well. And I think that's a testament to the effort, obviously, the counties put into it, and also our preparation for the 2024 election cycle to make sure that shore could make it through that challenging time.
And could you give us a breakdown, not now, a spreadsheet would be fine, of how that 20 million was allocated, that, so that we can find out how much the counties had and for what specific purposes, that sort of thing. As we work together here over the next year or two, I'd like to have that information to make sure that we're going to have some decisions to make, and I think the two of us can work together on that. But it would be nice to have that going forward.
Yes, of course, Chairman. And the procurement process for us and for, obviously, I'm sure every other department is a challenging one, but obviously arrived at a vendor that we're confident that can complete what is required.
Yes.
Which had been lacking in the past. So there's a lot of effort put into the front end of all of this. And we worked closely with our counties. Like, our counties are really the everyday users of the shore system. So it was important to work with them to determine what their needs are, since they're the main people who use it, and to make sure things go on track. Just want to add that we brought on a modernization officer and a project manager. Like, one thing that I know you've undoubtedly seen when it comes to elections and Department of State and any county is when it's election time, your attention is entirely focused on making sure election day goes smoothly.
Yep.
So there's a lot of starts and stops. And one thing that we've done in the Department of State in the last year and a half is with the modernization officer and project manager to make sure that that process continues. So you don't have people who are involved in making sure the election goes well, putting something on the back burner until after the election.
Let's pick that stuff up in some hearings and some discussions going forward.
Sorry, Chairman.
Act 88 reports and your 1201 report, the midnight reporting. I appreciate what you did in getting that information out to us and compiling those reports from the counties. Is that something you're planning on continuing going forward? And are you willing to work with us on legislation to basically to require those reports, because you're not going to be around forever, and neither am I? Would you be willing to work with us on that?
Yes, of course. And we worked closely with the counties to make sure that they were prepared to report to us the 1201 reports, which is the number of outstanding ballots still yet to count. And I think that was a huge improvement over the 2020 experience, where on election night at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning, there's a question as to how many ballots there are left to count. And thanks to the legislature and Act 88, we have a clear picture as of midnight on election night, at least how many ballots there are still yet to count.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.